I want you to imagine, I want you to think, long back, to the time you start playing Dissidia. You start picking one character from your favorite games, and then you go into the match. I would like to ask you, how screwed you are the first time you play? It's no secret that Dissidia is very unique in fighting game genre, or even arena fighting game in general. But one thing most people will notice when they're watching a newcomer playing for the first time is that this game has a pretty high learning curve at the start. While I don't see this as a problem in the first two games, cause not only do they have a tutorial at the start, you are encouraged to play a story mode which start off really easy and every character needs to leveling up to get more attack and ability. So many people can slowly learn their favorite character in their own pace. But in the reboot, you might not have that chance. To be fair, there's no confirm that they're going to have something similar to a story mode in the previous game in Dissidia NT, but let's assume you're playing an arcade version where the only chance to train is tutorial and practice mode. And unlike PSP game, every character is almost at full potential, minus 3 unlockable HP attack. Your favorite character might be harder than you expect. So in this video, I'm going to rank each character difficulty level in my own fun way. By no means to discourage you to play your favorite character, I just warn you how screwed you are in the first 5 to 10 games or so. And also, not in-depth analysis either, that's what the Warrior Spotlight video are for. This is just a quick and simple video, I'm not gonna take too long for each character. There will be 3 stats I will show on the screen. First is a general difficulty, basically how steep their learning curve is. And sometimes complex mechanic might not be equal to difficult. Some character with paragraph long mechanic can be easier than someone who can be explained in like one sentence. I will rank it from simple to easy, medium, hard, and ultimate hardcore level. Second is the role, just a general idea on what this character is like. And last one is no reading meter. It will show you how screwed you are and what you will be thinking or doing if you're not reading that character ability at all before you play them. Oh, and for the sake of convenience, I will be only ranking the character at the same time, okay? Okay. Alright, let's do it. Let's start with a heavy type or Vanguard, probably the most preferred class for newcomer, packed with both melee combo and a long range projectile. It's good to get a general idea of the game down and also a pretty good starting bridge to other type. And there is no surprise that Warrior of Light is the best training wheel. The only 2 unique mechanic is his shield part of a Blackwood attack, which in a way is good for old Dissidia player who can't get used to a new god system. Another is his EX skill taunt ability, but you don't really have to use it the first time you play it. Other than that, he's easy, bravery attack is standard, HP attack is simple except for RN I guess. And that's it, he's the easiest. Next one is Cloud. He got a simple mechanic which is short attack and everything is revolved around it. And you'll probably get used to it pretty quickly. But you can still learn some advanced tricks like what each attack do when charging and dodge cancel while charging and stuff like that. But still, he's pretty simple. Then is Scarlet, probably the easiest variant right now. He's basically a reverse Warrior of Light, which many people will probably enjoying it. His playstyle is basically hitting the living crap out of anyone, so simply going in and keep beating enemy is surprisingly effective for him, and his high super armor can make him less punishing. Sizzle is the next one, surprisingly. Of course you need to know that you can change your job though, if you don't then yeah, you're screwed. But his attacks are simple enough and HP attack are pretty strong. His challenge is to deal with the weakness of each job and limiting moveset. You know, I can still decide about Sephiroth difficulty level, because his moveset is kinda standard. He got a lot of range and focus mostly in melee, but nothing too brain scratching, except for his dash cancel. It's just a simple faster dash cancel, but holy crap does it make a lot of difference. It's just that, the main reason why he's so difficult because that dash cancel. Well now then, how about the hardest hero in the game? He's like a Sizzle who have a clear weakness, except that Furion can fix it. His aerial combat sucks, but his ground attack is awesome, if you know how to use it. So not only does you have to master his ground combat, you need to know about the terrain, enemy movement, and you need a good team to couple with that. Well, at least his HP attack is pretty simple and strong. Then let's move on to a speed type or assassin. They have the advantage in high mobility and quick attack, while sacrifice ranged attack and heavy super armor. And the easiest assassin is the Dragoon, I mean K. Why is he easy? Well, aside from simple moveset and EX skill which is basically a jump ability, He is a hybrid of heavy type, to the point that some people call him Speed WoW. Well, really, he has some super armor to ignore some punishment, which make him easy at approaching enemy, but have less move for dueling, I suppose. Next one is Zidane. He is the most traditional assassin in the game, but still packs some unusual supporting ability like Steel Debuff and Isunaga. Other than that, he's a great aerial duelist. Straight attack, upward attack, downward attack, he got it all. And HP attack, while mostly really short range, is really fast, so it's easy to use. Tidus is a goddamn nightmare if you don't know what he's doing. Cause if you play him like any other character, you might think that he have all like 2 or 3 attacks, but if you know him, he's more manageable but still needs some learning with his unique mobility, and you also need to manage his dash gauge very carefully. Next up is Lightning, a hybrid of speed and shoot type, and you kinda need to know that R3 button change her role. If you don't, then you're stuck with commando role for the whole game, which is not that bad, but for speed type she's not as good as dueling as traditional assassin, and Revenger is not as good as average mage either, so you need to utilize her big moveset to make her a versatile fighter. And then it's time for our lovely Lion. If you don't read about him, you might be able to do a combo just fine, but you will do a bit small amount of damage. And he's like 80% for combo and not much else, so if you want to play him, you better be good at it. Keep train doing a trigger properly and he will become a monster. Well, no surprise that Villain is the hardest one. Kuja is one of the most risky characters in the game. Despite being assassin, he's really strong only if he stay alive for at least a minute and a half. Not only that, he moves like a shoot type even though he only have a melee attack, so his movement needs some getting used to. But if you're good at him, he's gonna dance gracefully across the battlefield. The third class, which is shoot type or marksman, is overall the hardest of the 4. Not just the fact that you need to keep some distance from the enemy to fight them, otherwise you're dead, but a lot of mages themselves are pretty complicated, except for the first one, which is almost pretty complicated. Despite the 3 minutes of his moveset video are dedicated to his EX skill, which is still the most complicated skill alongside Kuja, but if you ignore that, his attack is still pretty simple. There is no 2-in-1 or special kind of debuff or something like that, which also applies to his HP attack too. But at least remember that you need to hold triangle button to use a card, okay? Now, Chontoro in concept is pretty easy to grasp. Her attack changes when she's at low health. If you play her for the first time, you can just roll with whatever she have in the moment. But if you want to take it to beyond, you need to manage her health carefully, which is really hard to do in this game. Well, at least her bravery attack is straightforward, but her HP attack can be a little weird. Well, Terra is like a Chontoro that you can actually control, but yeah, 4 seconds to actually shoot a big projectile can be a problem, especially if you have no idea how it works. Seriously, watching a newcomer playing Terra for the first time is quite amusing. But as I mentioned in Spotlight video, the key to master her is managing magic shot mechanic and shoot right projectile in each situation. While Istolada is not a 2-in-1 character, she is less mobile than all previously mentioned mages. And with small projectile, that's really hard to hit, and a lot of her strength are from her crowd control and healing, which you have to know what each attack do to actually utilize it. Oh, and her HP attack is mostly focused on playing passively, which is unusual to this game. The 2 remaining villain mage is in the top tier level, but let's start with a more tactical one. This guy can turn an arena into a bullet hell game that enemy team need to constantly dodge. But to achieve that level, you need to know how each projectile behaves, minding a terrain, opponent movement, and also keep yourself safe because he barely have any direct projectile to protect himself. Tactical is a keyword of playing Emperor. Kafka, however, is like his mental state. Not as crazy as PSP, mind you, but every fight for him is a mind game. A crazy mind game. He can delay every attack so he can fool his opponent to dodge prematurely. Even his magic has a weird pattern, maybe even harder to manage than Emperor. Everything about his moves is just weird, and his EX skill can be devastating if you're willing to take a risk. Now finally come to a unique type, or specialist, which basically means either a hybrid of a 2 class or developer just can't decide what to call them. And who is a better first character than the guy who is totally relevant to the plot of his own game? One, as many people say, is that character. You know, the one character who's pretty obnoxious to deal with? His bravery attack is laughably bad, but the trade-off is that he gets 2 HP attack to use. So you can just mainly use that to attack and you will still win the game. And the more he uses it, the stronger it becomes. Just don't die, he will be a freaking beast. Well, I guess at least he needs some leveling up to get more HP attack unlocked though. Now, you might think Bud should be a little bit more difficult considering the rank of his video. But even if you play him normally, he will still be pretty viable. But knowing about his master attack and buff can make you decide your attack option more effectively. And his attack is unique too, so it needs a little training to be familiar with it. Okay, here's a PSA for Lamza. He can charge his freaking EX skill. If you don't do that, he is just a below average character. Just imagine playing Garbage without charging once. Well, not as bad as that, but still. Most of the difficulty is just about strategize when to focus, when to shout, or when to steal, or something like that. But aside that, his bravery attack are really simple, and his HP attack is pretty strong as well. X-Dead is a pretty weird case for me. He's a pretty new character, so I'm not sure if he's really that hard to play. But he sure got a lot of things going for him. With 3 forms that change his attack attribute, but his move is still the same, so at least how you play is pretty constant. His problem is just using the right form at the right time, especially seal form, which is really situational. And oh boy, 3 EX skill to choose. And finally, the first real hybrid character. Not only does he have a sucky early game and need to land a specific hit to change to a better job, and if you die you need to do it all over again, his hitbox is just so small. But if you land it, oh boy, does he deal a lot of damage. And if you're good at him, your teammate will love you because you'll serve whatever role your team is missing. And there you go. Oh boy, I didn't expect to make another long video, but hey, it's still a cool idea. It would be a shame to throw it away. Anyway, if you want to know a moveset of each character specifically, I got a playlist of that on the ref. Or you can watch the spotlight video on the right where I talk more in depth about the character and the past change throughout the year. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, all that jazz. And until next video, I'll see you there.